Good morning. This is Dave's garage. Get a message in. Jimmy hit the welders on the headers. I still got to do all the grind and pretty stuff on them. I'll do that when I get stalled somewhere on the car and have to wait for parts. It'll give me something to stay busy doing. I don't want to waste my productivity time on something that might shut me down later. I did a stand from a mag drill to get it up because I had to do that. And in order to do that, it had to sit down this metal plate. Now, let's see if I got one here. Ow. Goes on the axle. We're going to say, let's just say this way. This fits right in here. Okay. The bolt comes right down through the very center. You can tell the bolts here I picked all my stuff up. Any other time I have them laying everywhere. I got my nuts and bolts in the poor boy's vinegar bath over there. This is the MG one. Okay. Axle comes across, this goes under, this lines it, that clamps it, and the shock comes off of it. This will be in polyurethane. Bushings. And I'm missing a box. That's for the spring. Let me get the spring mounts. I know they're here because I saw them. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's just in polyurethane. The spring sits in there, pin comes down through there. The U-clamps pull it together. I've never used a bushing in a rear end before. This is going to be something totally new. Okay? Grease zerks. I'm working on my get it organized so I know exactly where this stuff's sitting when I go to grab it. That's just the rubber one. It's on the car. We'll get to the rear end in a second. Here's what the shackle looks like. 2 nuts. It's got stops on it. Compress the bushing and lock it. Not to over tighten it. This one can be saved with a little bit of my effort. I got stuff everywhere. I just push that out of the way. Push this over here. These are grease fittings out of the Bobcat stuff. I had to cut one of these bolts. This one's hardened. The one on the passenger or driver's side front spring was one of those butter bolts from the hardware store, the shiny ones that don't have any hardness to them. The zip cutter went right through them like it was cutting cardboard. Surprised me it didn't break. So I'll get two of the correct hardened bolts with a proper sleeve on it. Collar, I should say. The collar on it. This one, they put one of those shiny nuts on it. It rusted in place. With all the soaking and all the jiggling and all the working I did, the slightest firm ugga-dugga on it, it snapped right off. It has to have this collar for that plate to sit on, for the bushings to work correctly. And this one's all buckled up. Maybe it's this way. Yeah. So I got to locate these because that's the torsion part of the spring. And while I'm at it, I want to get another one of these. This one's in good shape. One of these could be saved, the other one I don't know yet. Depends on the cost and the shipping time. So that's where I'm at on the assembly. Now the next thing we're going to do we're going to be working on the rear end. Friday is more or less a think tank day, okay? All the little things you got to figure out, and I'll show a bunch of them to you today. And the rest of you just have to watch as they come down the pike, so to speak. Zimmy decided she wanted to be out here with Daddy, but she's going to sit on the porch in the shade. She's not a dumb dog. I'll get my handy pointer out. From here to here is 47 inches. From there to there, it is, you guessed it, 47 inches. I was told this rear end didn't exist. On one of the sites, people bitch about damn keyboard Karens, but they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to automotive stuff. They're self-appointed idiots. They should just shut the hell up. So, we're going to do this one online. We got the parts coming. I'm going to disclose the vendor, the parts, and the cost to hang this rear end. There's the springs I'm using. That's the MG springs. One's kind of bunched up a little bit on some blankets so it looks higher, but it really isn't. They just had a little patina on them. To my no broken leaves, nothing warped, nothing banged up, ready to bolt in, good to go. I use the old heat it with a torch and then knock the bushings out of the end. It smells a little bit, but it worked good and fast. I like fast. I got green spray paint on my camera lens here, my viewing lens. I'm going to have to go in the house and clean that off. Those springs, those urethane bushings are going into this car with this rear end. The one that everybody says did not exist. Here it is. The main problem right now. Well, hi Zooms. You come out to help me? You gonna say hello to the people? I know what she wants. I'll show you. She wants Daddy to walk up and open the door so she can go in the house and sit in the air conditioning, because she's not a dumb dog. Just because her humans aren't smart enough to come in out of the heat doesn't mean she is. Right? You like my temporary steps from 2 years ago? The wife's changed her mind 4 times on what she wanted. She wanted a concrete patio. She wanted steps down to it. She wanted a deck. She wanted a larger deck. She wanted a smaller deck. I said, as soon as you make up your mind what kind of deck you want, I'll get a hold of my son. My grandson stays with us. He works, stays here. Because the house is actually 2 levels. You go up a half a flight of steps, you got the upper level, and half a flight of steps down, you got another matching level, except one's got the furnace room in it. And it used to be finished years ago. There was a plumbing issue or something in this neighborhood backed up. So everything's gutted and clean, sanitized in the basement. I just have not had time to get down there. I got to get a hold of some of my old cohorts, I should say. And that's going to be my winter project, because my time out here will be limited. Shoulder does not like heat. It guaranteed it's not going to like cold. They said it takes a year or so for that to go away. Well, everything they told me takes longer. Buddy of mine says it'll take 2 years to get that arm 100% back in that shoulder. I thought, that's nice. So we're going to get on this. I might as well just set it up and do it while we're at it. Let me grab a camera stand. Give it a quick little yeah, how's that? What we're doing is I got them lined up this way to match. Okay? Bom-ba-dom-ba-dom-bom. You could tap it around a 16th of an inch to make it perfect if you want. Okay? Now, this is where that bushing went in. I don't know why it's oversized to that extent. It doesn't need to be. Got curiosity up now, people. I'll use the ruler instead of my crooked eyeball. This damn MG's got so many protrusions. Okay, it's right there. Pen doesn't work with a hoot. I think my Sharpie dried up. This is what I do every Friday, off camera, so everybody's saying, well, you don't show everything. Well, okay. This on center, here to here. So if this is the center line, Okay. And follow me along here, people. And this is the center line. The slightly larger pin has to be drilled right there on center. It'll be right here. Is that impressive or is that impressive? To accomplish this feat, you got to remember right here, three-quarters of an inch below this steel plate is this tube, so you can't use a standard drill bit or anything. So I'm going to use an angle cutter on my mag drill. I'm going to weld that steel plate right here. I'll show you when I do the other side. And get this cleaned up, I'll spot weld it in 3 places. Stick the mag drill down with the proper size bit centered. It'll magnetically lock on. And then very slowly, I will bore down through here using one finger, because when it hits the clear part, it'll actually bobble on your finger like this. If you're holding it, you can't feel it. But if one finger, it'll push your finger up for a second as it bites and cuts through. Because right there, I do not want to cut into this tube. If I do, I'll have to take the perch off, clean it up, repair the hole, reinstall the perch, and re-weld it. And still have to put a hole in the dang on thing. Okay? Now, let me move the camera without trying to do too much. We'll repeat the process here. My camera stand's getting hot. It's shrinking. We'll do the same thing here. And we'll go dead center on the hole again, which will be right there. What happens? Put this over here out of the way. There's my plate. I'll clean it, grind it all up, get the film off of it. This will get welded here, here, and here with tack welds. My mag drill will clamp onto that, and I can center it on the X and very carefully cut it the diameter of the pins that are on the springs out there. So when the springs are in and this thing's flipped over and goes down, they'll fall right in these 2 holes and everything will line up. Give me 1 second, people. That's it. Here we go again. It's getting hot. It's going down. It's going down. That's okay. That's the shrinking camera lens. I'll just back up as it's shrinking. That's what we're doing, people. There's a bunch of stuff to do out here. I'll come back on later and we'll go over it to fit the springs to this. First, I got to get the rear ends ready. Tomorrow, I got to spot weld and drill 2 holes. I've got narrow 2 pin heights. Those are well over 3/4 of an inch, and they'll go through it, hit the tubes. They got to be off the tubes. Like, subscribe, leave